Roy Fox Lichtenstein was an American pop artist. Pop art is a type of art that raises everyday objects to the level of art. What Roy did was he blew up comics and painted them by hand. He also loved to do Ben-Day dots, which was made by a guy called Ben-Day who came up with the dots. Ben-Day dots make you have an illusion that there's a solid color, but there isn't. Roy Lichtenstein was born in New York on October 27, 1923. Roy's dad was a successful real estate developer. Roy Lichtenstein grew up at home with both his parents and a little sister. As Roy grew up, he was an ordinary kid who went to summer camp and played sports, although with not much interest. Later, he recalled he was good at swimming. Roy was Jewish and loved science. He loved to listen to a radio channel called Flash Gordon, which may have inspired him in his later piece named Mad Scientist. Sometimes he would draw, and his friends would come over and watch him draw. As a kid, he did drawing as a side thing and never thought he would become an artist. The summer after Roy graduated from Ohio State, he went to a painting class once a week. His teacher Reynold Marsh, painted New York crowd scenes and was famous for it. Even though Roy only went to the class once a week, he loved it. While he was there, he learned how to draw from a live model and studied anatomical drawing. When he painted from the live sculpture, he found out how to draw with perspective. He observed the person posing and the structure of the human from different angles. That was Roy's favorite and most effective class he attended. Roy was in World War II from 1943 to 1946. Roy was discharged from the Army because he had to get home to see his sick father. Roy then entered the graduate program at Ohio State and was hired as an art instructor. Then, in 1949, he married Michelle Wilson, and in the same year moved to Cleveland. There, his first son, David, was born in 1954, and then, in 1956, he had his second son, Mitchell. Then, in 1957, he moved back to New York, where he was originally from. Roy decided to make comics because one day his son said that the next day everyone in his class brought in their parents to talk about their parents' jobs. But David, Roy's son, said that he was an artist but he couldn't draw very well. So Roy took out a canvas and drew a sketch of Mickey and Donald Duck from a comic he had just read about Mickey and Donald that day. It was titled Look, Mickey, and it was about how Donald Duck thinks he had caught a fish but really he just got the hook stuck on his butt. This was Roy's first pop art painting and it was in 1961, which is the painting you can see here. After that, Roy loved to paint comics and loved to draw handmade lines in his comics. First, Roy painted abstract before he painted comics. But when he first painted comics, he knew that he could never go back to painting abstract. Roy still did abstract after he started to make comics. One example is this painting. His ability to draw something that is not real helped him because he could draw any comic he wanted. Sometimes, it wouldn't look realistic. His first big break was in 1962 when Leo Castelli, a famous art dealer, gave him the opportunity for a one-man art show. All the pieces sold before the art show had started. That was him here. Wham! 1963, a painting by Roy, is one of the most famous pieces of pop art in history. It is a comic with two panels. In the left-hand panel is a panel. There's a pilot who is about to shoot a rocket. In the second panel, it shows the rocket going into another plane. Here's an image of Wham. Wham makes me feel like I'm in a flight and I am in a plane and I hit the target and I'm celebrating because I won the battle. Roy still used his abstractness to make abstract art in a different version using Ben-Day dots. Here's a picture of one of my most favorite pieces of abstract art of all time. I love the way it looks like there's a lot of real stuff, but the fact that they're all put together in a weird way makes it look completely abstract, and I love it. The reason I chose Roy as my artist is because his art is different. It isn't like any other art. It has things you wouldn't see in everyday life, but it adds something unique. I've always loved abstract art, and even though he does pop art, I still feel like it is a type of art, of abstract art, and I might even like it more than abstract art. Most of Roy's paintings close to Roy's death were of crying women. He was very famous for crying women and painted most of the women he painted crying. Below is one of Roy's most famous paintings of a crying woman. Then, in 1997, when he died of pneumonia, his paintings started to get very famous and expensive, and they still are.